Have you ever noticed one of these iconic marine rescue signs at your local boat ramp? It's a reminder to log on and log off on every voyage using your VHF marine radio or the free Marine Rescue smartphone app. My name's Brad Whitaker and this is Marine Rescue TV. Having the correct safety equipment on board your vessel, the right amount of fuel, making sure your engine's been maintained is critically important for a safe day on the water. But you know what? It starts before you even get to the ramp. Maintaining your trailer is one of the things some of us often forget about. We caught up with Michael Guest to go through all the things you need to know about maintaining your trailer.
Hey, Michael Guest here from Marine Rescue New South Wales. Look, it's fantastic having all these great trailer boats to tow around and go fishing and explore, but you've got to look after the thing that's cradling them, and that's the trailer. So often you head off on holidays and you see people stuck on the side of the road, and quite often it might be mum standing there with her arms folded, not looking very happy because somebody's forgot to do some maintenance. So let's talk a little bit about maintenance. First thing we want to do here, I've got my floor jack in here at the moment, so I'm just going to jack up one of these wheels, and let's have a bit of a look-see. So that's high enough there at the moment, and just give that a bit of a spin. That noise you can hear there is just the brake disc going through the pad, so that's okay. But what we want to really check is make sure that there's no movement either that way up and down or laterally. No movement there and no bearing noise. And if we get in there nice and close, that sounds perfect. So that's the first thing that we want to hear. If you spin that wheel around and it has a gravelly sort of sound to it, that's bad. So you either need to get a serviced by your local mechanic, or you can do it yourself. I certainly do it myself. I spend lots of time in here over the years with different boats and repacking bearings. Make sure you use a really good grease. The guys from Valvoline make a fantastic product, so I'm always in here repacking bearings or adjusting bearings, make sure it's right, especially before I go away on a decent trip. Little trips around here is okay, but if I'm going to go more than 3 or 4 hours, I'll always jack each wheel up and check it out. That all sounds really good, so I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. We'll just quickly whip the wheel off and have a look and make sure that the brakes and the calipers are all in really good nick as well. One thing that we do need to do, I'll just pop a car stand under here just for safety, even though it's a dual axle trailer. That's it, that's jammed under the frame there, just in case that jack fails. It's a nice new jack, but you never know. Take that wheel off. Other thing you do need to do, check the tyre pressures. Generally most boats are running around about 36 psi, 2.2 bar, somewhere around about there. If it's a heavier boat, then you may even go up to around 40 psi. That looks really good. There's really no corrosion on the wheel studs. Brake disc has got no grooves in it and plenty of pad material on those pads. And I'll just I'd run a spanner around those caliper bolts, make sure that caliper's not loose. But that's all looking really, really good. If I needed to get in here and change wheel bearings and slide that off, it's simply a matter of popping that cap out. As I said, I'm always in the shed. Over the years I've had to do it, pull hubs apart. I'd take that whole brake disc hub off, take the bearings out, repack them, put it back on the stub axle, but that all feels really, really good. Don't forget there's 4 here to do, so you need to jack the 4 of them up and check them out. Have a good inspection of that brake caliper. That all looks, as I said, really good. Plenty of meat on the pads, and that's important. And generally go through and do a bit of a spanner check right across it. If you've got a multi-roller trailer, you want to check all those rollers out. Have a look at your slides. Just make sure there's no corrosion, nothing, no wires are broken anywhere, and the trailer's in good order. And then to adjust brakes like this one here, my big boat's got electric brakes on it. This one's what we call override brakes. So there's a cable there. So if I spin that and pull on there, that's where all the brake action comes from, is that cable. So it's important to keep the override brakes adjusted. You don't want them dragging, but I just need a little bit more tension there. So it's just a matter of winding a tiny bit more back onto that cable. So that pulls both cables on evenly. As you brake, it slides back through here, and then that slide pushes back that way, and that's what puts tension on that cable. So I'll just adjust it a little bit further, and that's pretty good. And what that also does That means my handbrake now is working correctly. Pull that back off, and it's just a matter of locking that lock nut back off here. I can do that with a screwdriver and a shifter. You don't need a lot of tools to keep up with your trailer maintenance. And I'll just lock that off. That should do it. I need to over tighten it, and away we go. Keep an eye on your plug as well, your trailer plug. A little bit of grease here doesn't hurt, so we might even just apply a bit while we're going, just to keep that slide nice and greased. So yeah, really good quality grease. I'll just pop a bit on that slide just to make sure it all works. I did it the other week, so I know there's plenty in there, and there's a grease nipple there where you can just pop your grease gun on and then put a little bit in, just a little bit there, just to make sure that all stays nice and lubricated. Just another quick point, just make sure that that winch strap hasn't got any cuts or tears in it. So that can be quite dangerous if you're winching your boat on and that breaks. Also the straps at the back of the boat, the tie down straps, just have a bit of a visual there and make sure the same thing, that there's no cuts or tears. At the end of the day, they're a seatbelt style webbing material, and they do fatigue after a while. One last thing you need to do is make sure that your trailer lights are working, and a little bit of maintenance at this end can go a long way to sorting it out. Most problems, especially with LED trailer lights, are happening at the end where you're plugging into your vehicle. Open that up, have a look, all nice and clean, no corrosion there whatsoever. A little bit of spray doesn't hurt. The main thing is, whatever you do, don't try not to get any salt water, don't back your trailer in too far, you don't want salt water going in there. So we'll just pop that back on, slide that back up. So they're pretty easy to check, and all of these things are going to save you a whole heap of grief. Police car comes up behind you and your trail lights aren't working, then you're in big trouble. One thing you might want to do is just have a look at those pins. I've opened these ones up not long ago. Occasionally if they close up a little bit too far, it's just a matter of getting a little flat bladed screwdriver and just sneaking it into those pins that are split and just opening them up just a little bit. And what that does, it gives you a much better connection when you plug it into your car or your four-wheel drive at the back there. So we'll just open those up. They're all ready to go. As I said, no corrosion there. That looks really, really good, and that's going to go a long way to making sure that your trail lights work. You should always do an inspection on the indicators, brake, tail lights before you head off on a trip. Don't forget, make sure you support Marine Rescue New South Wales. They're our volunteers saving lives on the water.
Thanks, Guesty, and I hope you enjoyed those tips and tricks for looking after your boat trailer. In Season 2 of Marine Rescue, we're going to keep things short and sharp and get to one key issue in every episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and also the bell so you can be notified of future episodes. And until next time, stay safe on the water.